Coming up next, when Mega Man eventually went 16-bit, the long wait felt like a century had passed us by. Hey, what would Mega Man look like 100 years from now, in the year 21XX? Grab an E-can and stay here, because Mega Man X is 30. This is GTV. Quantity and quality. On December 17, 1993, Capcom released Rockman X in Japan, 6 years to the day since the debut of the first game in this long-running series, Rockman, also known as Mega Man to the rest of the world. In the early 1990s, the world of gaming was at a crossroads. The 8-bit era was ending. The 16-bit era was taking off. Many popular series that began in the 1980s, Super Mario Bros., Castlevania, Phantasy Star, Contra, Shinobi, and the list goes on, had left the older set of hardware behind, embracing the next generation. With each announcement of an 8-bit game series going 16, there was a level of excitement, but with that came some frustration and disappointment that not every game had made the jump, and that some clearly wouldn't. The most popular game series among these holdouts that stuck with 8-bit was Mega Man. After 3 games on the family computer and NES, Capcom pushed on with Mega Man 4 and 5, setting a world record for the highest numbered sequels of the era. While these were good games, fans wondered if a 16-bit Mega Man would ever happen. Perhaps no one was surprised in January 1993 when Capcom announced their plans for that year. A new Mega Man game was on the drawing board, the 6th one in 6 years, and again on the 8-bit family computer. Concurrently with that announcement, Capcom surprised everyone, proclaiming that the Blue Bomber would finally be playable on 16-bit. Was this Mega Man 7? Well, not quite. At the start of 1993, after 5 games, Capcom clearly had the formula to the series set in stone. Despite the most minor graphical changes, such as energy capsules getting a facelift in Mega Man 2, and a few new features like the slide and the Mega Buster, one could argue that the 8-bit Mega Man games all look the same, and basically are the same. Not to forget that Mega Man games were developed for the Game Boy, with annual installments there as well, recycling the concepts of its TV game bigger brother. While other games evolved and changed over time, Capcom stood by with the rinse and repeat strategy. The concepts that were first envisioned in 1987, as well as the staff involved, were quite different than that of 1993. Mega Man was first envisioned as a dark, serious game. Akira Kitamura, credited as AK, had created the concept of a lone soldier robot taking on a giant evil army. The graphical designs, music, and story all painted a dystopian future on the brink of ruin, with only a single, final hope to save humanity. 3 games in, Kitamura would leave Capcom altogether, with the reins of Mega Man being handed down to Keiji Inafune. He had a minor role in the original game, only to find his responsibilities grow in Mega Man 2. And with 3, he ran the entire show. As things moved on, the tone of Mega Man had changed into something bright, colorful, and cute. Enemy designs with large eyes, bouncy music, and sidekicks Rush, Beat, and Eddie resembled something out of a Sunday morning anime show. Robot Masters became something of a joke, wielding impractical powers, with names like Pharaoh Man and Toad Man that clearly showed that all of the good ideas had already been used up, all with Dr. Wily coming back time and again, believing that this time he might change his ways, though we all know he never will. All of this was 180 degrees out of phase from the gritty sci-fi tale AK had envisioned. Part of this non-evolution resulted from the quick turnaround times that were demanded of Inafune and the rest of the team. And it wasn't just Capcom. In the go-go 80s, games were sent out as fast as possible in hopes of becoming the next big thing. Now, I'm not a scientist or anything, but it seemed like Capcom had somewhere between 5 months and 40 weeks to get the next Mega Man game out the door. Simply said, there just wasn't enough time to do anything else, except take what already existed in game code, add new levels, and tweak things to make the game just different enough to be a so-called new game. Mega Man 5 still sold 750,000 copies. The fanbase was as strong as ever, despite cranking out what was, in essence, the same game over and over. With 16-bit, Inafune could break with tradition, take his time, and go in a new direction. A new game built from scratch, returning Mega Man to the original concept of being something more serious and more mature than it was known to be. The Switch track was coming closer with each day, and the time to jump was now.
X.
Danger. All the bases are on.
西暦 2100WX 年、レプリロイドたちの反乱が始まった。もう一人のヒーロー、ロックマン X。スーパーファミコンで発売中。君はまだ X を知らない。
Capcom.
In the year 2000X, Dr. Thomas Light had developed several advanced robots that came very close to appearing human. In those early days, his first creation, Blues, was the first robot to be self-aware. The experiment ended when Blues rebelled, leaving Dr. Light's laboratory, later causing trouble on his own. His next attempt, Rock and Roll, were built with very controlled parameters, restricting their actions to performing household duties, with strict instructions to never harm humans. Other simple robots were designed for tasks that improved the quality of human life as well. One day, an adversary of Dr. Light, Dr. Albert W. Wiley, reprogrammed Dr. Light's robots in an attempt to conquer the world. The good doctor upgraded his household robot, Rock, into the super fighting robot Mega Man to defeat Wiley and restore peace to the world. Under the programming directives set by Dr. Light, Mega Man defeated Wiley, but never hurt him. Wiley would escape and return again and again, even recruiting Blues, now known as Proto-Man, in his plans for world domination. Dr. Light struggled with his decisions throughout all of this. In his laboratory, in secret, Dr. Light developed a new robot, more advanced than Mega Man, with human-like reasoning and a conscience. He named this robot X. Dr. Light felt it was necessary to create such a robot, lest a madman worse than Wiley were to appear in the future. Grappling with the moral question of unleashing X upon the world, Dr. Light ran a system of operations to test the will of the robot. The process would take 30 years, longer than Dr. Light would ever live. To allow this process to complete itself, Dr. Light sealed X underground with instructions not to disturb the system until the process was complete. Not long after completing X, Dr. Light passed away. Time moved on, and his laboratory became forgotten. 100 years later, in the year 21XX, an archaeologist, Dr. Kane, unearths Dr. Light's lab and the robot X. Even in the 22nd century, X was more advanced than any robot the world had ever seen. Without fully understanding the work Dr. Light had done, Dr. Kane revived X and applied his design to new robots, called Reploids. These robots had never received the ethical testing that X had undergone. As a result, many of the Reploids turned on Dr. Kane. These irregular Reploids were soon labeled Mavericks. Their numbers grew, and soon the world was engulfed in a Maverick rebellion. To protect humanity, Dr. Kane created the Maverick Hunters. X is but one of many hunters, working in the 17th Division under Zero as the events of the game begin. X takes on the mission of squashing the Maverick Uprising, all of which is led by Sigma, a Reploid who was once a Maverick Hunter himself. This is the backdrop of the world where Mega Man X takes place. A new hero, X, who functions like Mega Man, but is also not the same hero we all grew up with, brought into a divided world that he indirectly created, destined to take up the fight against it as a mere foot soldier, set in the future of the future. a story much more detailed and nuanced than the terror sprees of Dr. Wily. When it comes to the game design, there are many differences between the original Mega Man and the X series. First, the graphics are much more advanced than that of the older 8-bit games. X is larger than Mega Man and has more frames of animation, with more color. Even in a basic blue suit, the enemies and robot masters have more detail than ever before. The backgrounds are drawn with a three-dimensional feel, the highway wrapping around the opening stage, and the cylindrical designs of many rooms are just two examples of this effect seen all over the game. The foregrounds are bright and detailed, taking advantage of the color palette available on 16-bit. Many platforms up front have various layers of terrain, often obscuring X's legs, helping to create a perspective of depth. The music is much more advanced than the original Mega Man series. The Super Famicom and Super NES had 8 channels of sound for use in each game. Layers of keyboard, guitars, and drums create moods that are often tense, energetic, and powerful, that complement the visuals on screen during the entire game. The controls of Mega Man X are similar to those of the original series on the surface. X can walk, jump, and shoot. Even the Mega Buster is available, unchanged. Though in the 22nd century, it's called the X-Buster. Switching between weapons is now easier, using the L and R buttons to cycle through. From there, new moves are integrated into the game. The slide, a staple of the original series, has been replaced with the dash. This move allows X to move forward slightly faster in quick bursts. In addition, X can scale, climbing up walls by jumping as high as he can go, then planting his feet and jumping again upwards from that point. Some stages require the dash and scale to reach the end, while in others it isn't necessary, but can lead to bonus items otherwise undiscovered. In addition to various moving platforms, which were a part of the original series, X can, on occasion, use the Ride Armor, an equipable mecha suit that can smash enemies and provide protection. The suit can take 16 hits of damage, none of which drains X's life meter. The stage designs themselves aren't much different from the 8-bit series. It keeps that classic feel, making it easy for any Mega fan to jump right in. The robot master of each stage has also departed from the original Mega Man formula. The most obvious of these changes is the dropping of the man suffix from the names of these masters. In Mega Man X, all 8 bosses have more creative names. Chill Penguin, Launch Octopus, Storm Eagle, Armored Armadillo, Flame Mammoth, Sting Chameleon, Spark Mandrill, and Boomer Kawanger. All of these bosses combine the concept of an element of nature and an animal. Also a big change from the original series, where every robot master, from Bomb Man to Wind Man, and everything in between, were humanoid robots. The stage selection screen is also improved, with a world map, character profiles, and a preview of each stage. In addition to that, the story that sets up Mega Man X and the events that bridge the 21st and 22nd centuries are filled in with several scenes of dialogue. Text in Mega Man had appeared in the past, though not very much. X, Zero, Vile, and Sigma have detailed conversations that progress alongside the in-game action. Even Dr. Light appears in pre-recorded messages from beyond the grave. Dr. Light's incoming messages are also key to finding some of the upgrades that make X stronger, as well as making the game a little easier and more fun. There are 4 pieces of body armor for X's head, arms, body, and feet. When these are equipped, X receives extra protection while changing his physical appearance. At the start of the game, X's energy meter is clearly lower than his changeable weapons and the robot masters. The energy meter is upgradable over the course of the game by finding heart tanks. There are 8 in total, 1 in each standard stage. With all of them, X can have more energy than ever before. Instead of the traditional E-Can, which fully recharges the health meter, Mega Man X offers sub-tanks. There are 4 sub-tanks, which is less than the maximum in all past Mega Man games. With this item, spare energy capsules that are collected can be saved for later use, if X's energy is full. When all of these enhancements are discovered, X can unlock the Hadouken. If X has all boss weapons, heart tanks and sub-tanks, he can find a message from Dr. Light in the Armored Armadillo stage, where he teaches X the technique. The Hadouken is performed just as it is in Street Fighter II. Each attack does 32 hits of damage, making the final stages of the game a breeze. There is no way to save the Hadouken, or hack the password system to use it. It must be discovered in-game each time. And speaking of passwords, that too gets a slight overhaul, using a combination of numbers rather than the old system, which was like a game of Battleship. As development progressed over the course of 1993, Capcom prepared the public for not only Mega Man X, but a flood of mega games that overwhelmed the system, but had something for everybody.
X のパワーかゼロの技か俺は一体何のために戦っているんだ。選べるヒーローは一人じゃない。ロックマン X4 ダブルヒーロー型で新登場。カプコン。
Throughout 1993, hot rumors and gossip about Mega Man X filtered through the usual sources. While many anticipated the debut of the 16-bit Mega Man, things felt a little uncertain. Nobody knew what the game was going to be exactly, and X was far from the only game on the horizon. Capcom released Rockman 6 on November 5, 1993. The tried-and-true formula extended the life of the family computer, while more than a few eyes rolled, pondering why the game was needed when the long-awaited next-gen game was on the way. Rockman X came just a few weeks later, on December 17, 1993, 6 years to the day, and 6 games after the release of the first Rockman game. Capcom held Mega Man X over until 1994 in the West, with a US release in January, leading to every market receiving the game by May. The response to the new Mega Man game was very positive, with high praise given to the graphics and sound, as well as the bold move to break from tradition, pushing Mega Man in new directions, without straying too far from what made the Blue Bomber so good in the first place. Mega Man X was then released on Windows 95 PCs. This version was promoted in a rather amusing way, alluding to Dr. Kane's in-game discovery of X. It was the first time Capcom had ever released a Mega Man game on home computers. During its heyday, Rockman X sold 470,000 copies in Japan. Mega Man X sold another 600,000 plus, a grand total of 1.1 million copies worldwide. The next year and a half saw the release of Mega Man Soccer, Mega Man X2, and Mega Man 7 in that order. Not to mention many side games, the Wily Wars on the Sega Mega Drive being just one example. With Mega Man X2, Capcom showed that X was more than just a one-off, but a new series that could run just as long as the original. The series would eventually grow to 8 mainline games between 1993 and 2004, the same number as the original series, at least at that time. Over the course of the X series, Zero steps into a larger role, eventually becoming a playable character. The relationship between X, Zero, and Dr. Kane also progresses over time. The X series would find its way exclusively to the Sony PlayStation. Newer games included animated cutscenes with full voiceovers. The final 2 entries would cross over into 3D. The X series also had a few spin-offs that took the game in different directions. The most peculiar of these is Mega Man Extreme 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Color. The game shows a strange alternate universe, at least for the audience, of what Mega Man X would look like had the world never gone 16-bit. Things came full circle when the original X was given a proper remake for the Sony PlayStation Portable in 2005, adding Maverick Hunter to the title. The Japanese version was also retitled to Irregular Hunter X, with irregulars being the Japanese word for Mavericks. The X remake gets a graphical makeover. Everything is redrawn with polygons, though still plays in 2D like the original. The game features animated cutscenes and voiceovers, bringing things in line with the later X games. In addition to playing as X, Vile is playable with a unique campaign. As an unlockable reward for completing the game, a 25-minute OVA, The Day of Sigma, is included that tells the story of the events prior to the beginning of the game. In 2006, the first 6 X series games were re-released as Mega Man X Collection for the Sony PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube. X Collection also included Battle and Chase, a racing game first released in 1997, though never released in the US before. The X Collection was updated in 2018 for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Windows PCs, with all 8 mainline games and the Day of Sigma OVA episode. However, spin-off games and the Maverick Hunter remake were not included. Each game is kept as close to the original as possible, but adds the features of language options, save states, and an easy mode. While it may not be perfect, the collection stands as the best way to get your Mega Man X fix without having to track down expensive, obsolete, archaic machinery from the year 1990X. All of these X games weren't the end of the line, as much like the original Mega Man, the X series had its own rebirth. In 2002, Capcom released Mega Man Zero, the first of 4 games that follow the adventures of Zero, 100 years after the conclusion of Mega Man X, where the war between the Reploids and Mavericks still carries on. That series put the timeline further ahead in Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent, where Zero fights in the year 25XX. All of this led to Mega Man X becoming the flagship series as new adventures appeared while the original Mega Man went dark. In the real year 20XX, it was clear X was the standard bearer for the Mega Man franchise.
We bought my son Brian several Mega Man games over the years. It seemed innocent enough. I mean, Mega Man's a good guy, right? But seriously, it got a little out of hand. It was Mega Man this, Mega Man that, Mega. Yeah! But we've come to an understanding. It's homework, yard work, visiting grandma, then Mega Man.
Power up! There's a Mega Man for everybody. Mega Man, all the action you need. Each sold separately, rated E for everyone.
Oh, sorry, Grandma. Ah, it's cheating!
30 years ago, I was dying with excitement to get my hands on that new 16-bit Mega Man game. I didn't realize what I was getting into or what would unfold at that time. Maybe Capcom didn't know either. It was impossible to imagine that games would evolve in the way that they did. I don't mean improved graphics or 2D to 3D, though certainly modern-day gaming is well beyond my wildest dreams. I'm referring to the continual growth and expansion of a series. Mega Man may have not been the absolute very first one to chart a course in this way, but it was certainly done best, and can serve as an example to all. The original Mega Man series was quite popular, so I can understand Capcom cranking out as many sequels as possible. I can't remember any series going beyond 3 back in those days. So to bring out 4, 5, and 6 just felt so crazy. Mega Man was becoming the police academy of games. How high could it go? Then when X was announced, we all had a little chuckle, mistaking X for the Roman numeral 10. You're about 4 years too early, I'm sure many at home said. But a bigger problem was at the door. How do we handle all these sequels? The NES was out the door, and as time went on, the Super NES had its run, then PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. How could everything be kept together in a nice little package? In truth, it can't. At some point, you just have to pull the plug and start over, back at the original factory settings. But in that was a point of genius, winding up with one series having a mostly 8-bit style, another with a mostly 16-bit style. Obviously, the PS1 is really 32-bit, but the games never had that kind of feel to it. And X6 always felt to me like I was still on the Super NES, only with some crazy 128 meg cart and a super duper FX chip inside. None of that could have happened without laying down a foundation that says, in essence, new hardware, new series, new name, same familiar setting. Now we have this massive universe spanning centuries that keeps the in-game world we have loved since 1987 intact, alive, and more active than ever. The ride here wasn't perfect, but standing in 2023, looking back at 1993, it all really turned out for the best, whether intentional or not. Even though Mega Man was practically the last 8-bit superstar to go 16-bit, I would argue that Mega Man X was the first true next-gen game. The entire experience was a leap forward in graphics, gameplay, and storytelling, literally inventing a second generation of the Mega Man world. It served as a fairly decent plan of action that has let the Blue Bomber and many other series reinvent themselves time and again. And it all began here. And with that, you could say, X marks the spot. So you had Mega Man 1, then you had Mega Man X, which we thought was 10. Then there really was a 10. Then you had Mega Man 0. What else can you do? Mega Man -1?